Tonight at 11 on the WHAS11 night team, a massive disruption expected to the care given by Louisville nonprofits.
Any day past 1 day for a federal shutdown could be potentially disastrous. It's how we pay all of our staff and how we're able to provide care.
The government shutdown deadline is getting closer by the minute. We're following it live for you. Plus, Louisville's library jewel, the historic main library downtown, bracing to shut down for renovations, but it also serves the homeless.
There's no clear communication right now, none. Nobody's getting a clear answer.
And then happening about an hour ago, the triumphant homecoming.
I appreciate everything he has done for our family and for this country, my country.
The crowds are huge, the largest to date at the airport to welcome home the honor flight, carrying Kentuckiana's treasured war veterans back home from Washington. Right now on the WHAS 11 night team. Breaking as we come on the air with you right now at exactly 11:01 p.m. here in Kentuckiana as we take a live look at Capitol Hill in Washington. We are now exactly 1 hour away from that government shutdown to happen at exactly 12:01 a.m. Just before 9 tonight, here are the latest headlines. The U.S. Senate adjourned for the night. ABC News reporting tonight that means the government will officially shut down at 12:01. There no longer remains any pathway to keeping it open. So right now, folks, that's why we're bringing you a live view of a calm, serene-looking Washington, D.C., one that's expected to be in some form of chaos in the morning after the shutdown of our government. Plus, the promised permanent firings of federal employees by President Donald Trump. Just after 8:30 tonight, the White House Office of Management and Budget told federal agencies to execute their plans for an orderly shutdown. And hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us on what's become a busy Tuesday night. I'm Doug Proffitt. Keep in mind some federal workers like air traffic controllers, TSA agents, FBI agents are required to work tomorrow, but without pay. They won't be getting paid at all, but they have to show up to work. Both Democratic and Republican plans did not reach the required 60 votes, making a shutdown all but certain tonight. Lawmakers blaming each other, with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calling the Republican plan totally partisan. President Donald Trump warned of federal worker layoffs and program cuts, but did not specify which ones.
We don't want it to shut down because we have the greatest period of time ever. I told you, we have $17 trillion being invested, so the last person that wants it shut down is us. Now, with that being said, we can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like.
Up to 4 million federal workers could go without pay, facing strain on daily expenses, as you can imagine. President Trump suggesting that they still report to work to ensure an orderly shutdown. Well, tonight here at home, a Louisville nonprofit says a government shutdown will impact their staff members and families who use their services. Democrat Mayor Craig Greenberg and a Republican state representative also speaking out tonight about the situation. WHAS 11's Jose Alonso and photojournalist Levi Hammer are joining us live here on the night team at the Linview neighborhood. And Jose, how will a shutdown impact the nonprofit that you've been talking with tonight?
Doug, this could impact employee salaries along with child care programs here at Wesley House Community Services. This is a nonprofit that's been serving the Louisville community for more than 120 years. And we spoke with the president and CEO of the nonprofit who caused the situation at the nation's capital very concerning.
We, first and foremost, have a child care center here that is a partner of Greater Louisville Head Start. So 69 families depend on us for quality, affordable early education.
President and CEO of Wesley House Community Services, Mendel Grinter, calls a federal government shutdown potentially disastrous. He says their 21 staff members and daily catering service rely on federal funding.
And the federal funding that we get directly for Head Start supports their salaries. And any disruption of that, again, past any more than a week, could potentially be devastating because we draw funding from the federal government once a month.
The congressional gridlock has also caught the attention of local politicians like Democrat Mayor Craig Greenberg.
Without action from Congress, health care for nearly 100,000 Kentuckians is in jeopardy, with thousands potentially losing coverage. altogether. At a time when the cost of living is already sky high, and when healthcare costs seem to be increasing by the day, we can't play politics with people's lives.
The mayor also says if the shutdown lingers, it will impact Louisville Metro government services like food assistance and housing programs.
The city of Louisville alone, however, cannot fill the gaps left by the federal government's failure to preserve health care coverage and economic stability during these times.
Republican State Representative of Fisherville, John Hodgson, says the state will continue operating normally.
We have to balance our budget every 2 years. We have a pretty decent rainy day fund. The Budget Reserve Trust Fund, we can operate for 45 to 60 days without any income coming in, so we have cushion, we have reserve to survive downtimes.
Hodgson acknowledges that military and emergency personnel will work without pay during the shutdown, but he's in support if it aligns with President Trump's goal of shrinking the federal government.
The service members, we all appreciate their service. They will eventually get made whole. They will get their back pay. Trump can't shut down the government. The Trump administration is saying, let's just keep going on the level path we're on. We'll keep spending what we spent last year. That's a continuing resolution.
Back here at Wesley's house, the team is nervous, not knowing what they're going to be walking into tomorrow, as they have those jobs and programs that rely on those federal funds. Now we're just minutes away from a potential federal government shutdown after midnight. Reporting live in Louisville, Jose Alonso, WHAS11 on your side.
Very good. Thanks for that live update, Jose. Now, with a government shutdown now all but certain, Kentucky could also face major disruptions. Expiring ACA tax credits could raise health care costs for thousands of low-income Kentuckians. Programs like WIC, SNAP, LIHEAP, and federal housing assistance may see delays affecting families across our state. Travelers at the Muhammad Ali International Airport could face longer lines as air traffic controllers and TSA agents work without pay. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid payments will continue, but thousands of federal employees in Kentucky could be furloughed or forced to work unpaid jobs. Now, we're going to be keeping a close eye on any new developments during this newscast. We're in contact with ABC News throughout the next 30 minutes, and we'll get it right to you if anything happens. Plus, our team at WHAS11.com is also on top of the situation in Washington. This scene within the past 15 minutes, just before we came on the air here on the night team. The grand homecoming at our airport. New tonight, the honor flight has landed, and the ground crew there at the airport is telling us that this is the biggest crowd they've ever seen in the many years that they've been doing the honor flights. Well, it's a sea of red, white, and blue folks filling up the airport tonight as the community welcomed home 83 veterans from the honor flight to Washington, D.C. They left out of Louisville this morning. 11 Korean War veterans and 72 Vietnam War veterans spending the day visiting their memorials in Washington at no cost to them, getting high fives, a lot of cheers as they come home to their relatives and friends and pure strangers. This trip is about giving these heroes the recognition they deserve, especially as Korean veterans are now well into their 90s and many Vietnam veterans never received the proper welcome home.
So we didn't know all the things that he went through. And so slowly and steadily it's coming out. And that's what's so great about this. And it brings closure to him, and we're saying to him, you're okay. You did a good job. You are a hero.
Great scene at the airport captured by our WHAS11 night team photojournalist Aspen Hester's been out there for the past couple of hours. Honor Flight Bluegrass, an all-volunteer nonprofit, makes the flights possible entirely through your donations, with Texas Roadhouse serving as this year's Welcome Home sponsor. Again, welcome home tonight. Now, new tonight for you on the night team. Millions of dollars worth of renovations are coming to one of the busiest libraries in the state. We're talking about the main library in downtown Louisville on York Street. A closure has homeless advocates also worried tonight about the loss of resources for people who are living on the streets that use our library. WHAS 11 Night Team's Alex Dieter hears from one tonight who's pleading for more details.
$11 million worth of renovations are coming to the original main public library building on York Street near downtown. The main section opened in 1906, a place for thinking, designed for peace and quiet. the latest in the city's multi-million-dollar investment into our public libraries.
Improving the main library is critically important. It's the heartbeat of our library system. It's incredibly old and outdated at this time. That's long overdue in need of repair.
But the process to get there has sounded the alarms for the unhoused community, who are now expressing concerns over a potential closure of the main library during these renovations.
There are quite a few people that will use the library for reasons such as refuge from the harsh elements.
Hip Hop Cares founder Jeff Gill notes the resources unhoused people would lose if the building closed.
It's one of the only restrooms that's available left to them downtown. It's one of the only places where people can go to check their emails, updates from their caseworkers, or job applications, or personal documents, charge phones.
This downtown library sees more than 400,000 people a year, including 27,000 students and 3,500 families without internet.
Well, let me be clear that if we do have to temporarily close the main library for this construction work, we will ensure that there are plenty of services available for all library users.
When pushed on the potential of the closure, Mayor Craig Greenberg said there are no plans finalized yet, and his administration is considering all options.
If we do have to temporarily shut the main library, and when we do have finalized plans, we'll be sure to announce those as soon as possible to the entire community.
Please communicate clearly immediately. Not next week, not in 2 weeks, not right before you close.
Asking for communication on the future of a building that specializes in it. In Louisville, Alex Dieterer, the WHAS11 night team on your side.
Mayor Craig Greenberg today said that they will be making a decision very soon on the renovations and closures, but no official timeline has been announced just yet.
We are not looking at taxes right now, increases, because we must first balance our checkbook. We have an obligation to have a budget that's fiscally sound.
Brand new JCPS Superintendent Brian Yearwood speaking there, saying the district's budget for next year is in dire shape. In his first public comments since the mess was revealed, he says they now need to cut $132 million in spending by next fall. JCPS trying to cut that money to catch up on savings and a tight deadline. He says the district will not cut teacher pay or lay off teachers, but central office jobs are on the table for the biggest hit. Yearwood also stressed educational programs for students will remain a top priority, even as the district considers selling assets and scaling back on other expenses.
We have to make sure that whatever cuts we are making are not going to be a detriment to the quality of instruction that's going on in our classrooms.
District leaders say years of overspending and the end of the COVID relief money left JCPS in this bad, deep hole. They have just 3 months to finalize a budget plan before next fall. Now, many are wondering, how did JCPS get into this problem? Today, Yearwood addressing that, saying it's a twofold issue. During Superintendent Marty Polio's tenure, the estimated deficit was about $150 million. Since then, that number has ballooned to $188 million as the shortfall. Yearwood says the district is dipping into budget surpluses from years before, and the COVID-era federal funding helped keep the district above water at the time. But both of those funds have now dried up, leaving JCPS in the multi-million-dollar problem category here. And tonight, the school board, by the way, did meet to consider hiring a third-party auditor to evaluate JCPS finances and pinpoint areas to cut roads. Now, also happening tonight at the school board at the request, though, of Dr. Yearwood, decided to postpone the hiring of that accounting firm that was going to help them make the new budget cuts. Yearwood had talked about hiring that firm earlier today in that news conference, but by postponing the move tonight also saves the district a major cost. Right now, we want to take you back live to Washington, D.C. Of course, we are looking at Capitol Hill. The latest information we have is about an hour ago, Senate Majority Leader John Thune said Republicans are now in the hunt for a few additional Democrats to support the spending bill. Speaking at a news conference tonight, Thune said he intends to bring the bill forward again for a vote tomorrow He said he believes more Democrats might be willing to come around and support it. Again, we're on the government shutdown watch tonight, about 45 minutes away at exactly 12:01 a.m. And it's a big night ahead for you on ABC in just a few minutes after the night team. Jimmy Kimmel has moved his show to New York City tonight, and his guest tonight is the CBS late night host Stephen Colbert, who is losing his own show in May. The big reunion in New York at 11:35.
And as we wrap up September, we are looking ahead to a warm and dry start to October. We'll take a full look at our 7-day forecast. That's coming up after the break. Today's Kentucky Lottery jackpots: Mega Millions, $497 million, Powerball, $174 million.
The Kentucky Lottery, funding education for over 1 million Kentucky students.